Okay, gents, dress for the body you've got. Now, I know some of you watch my videos and think, that's all right for you, mate, but I don't look like you. Some of you are taller than me or shorter, some carrying more weight, or some of you are built like a heroin-addicted, blonde-haired, blue-eyed model, and you're wondering how any of this applies to your body, right? Fair question, so this one's for you. By the end of this, you'll know exactly how to dress for the build you've actually got, whether you're tall, short, stocky or skinny, what works for your shape, what works against it, and why none of this was ever about looking like me. Now, here's the truth. There's no one right body for dressing well, okay? Every build has moves that make it look its best and traps that make it look worse, okay? And the men who look great at any size aren't lucky, they just know their own playbook. Capiche? The tall man has different rules to the short man. The stocky man has different rules to the skinny one. Same principles underneath, different moves on top, right? Once you know the playbook for your build, your body stops being the excuse and starts being the starting point. Okay, gents? So, here we go. I'm going to give you the playbook, build by build. First, how to be honest about which body type you are. You're the tall man, the short man, the stocky man, or the skinny man, etc. What to wear, what to avoid, and why. Drawn out so you can see it. And the main idea underneath all of it, this is not about dressing like me, it's about having enough respect for yourself to dress the body you've got properly. So, let's get it. Now, let me address this head on because I know some of you are thinking it, right? You look at me and you think, easy for you to say, mate, I'm not your height, I'm not your build, so how does any of this advice apply to me? And look, honestly, it's a fair challenge, right? So let's settle it right now. And look, here's the answer. You were never supposed to, okay? You were never supposed to look like me. Not once in any video has the goal been to copy me, my clothes, or my body, or my style. The goal has always been one thing. You dress properly in the body you've actually got, right? Style isn't a body type, it's a set of principles, and the principles bend to fit every build, right? The execution changes, the standard doesn't, okay? You can take inspiration from me or from whoever, but ultimately, this is a formula you apply to you. And here's why this matters more than you think. The man who says, I can't dress well because of my body has handed himself an excuse, and excuses are exactly how men give up. They think they're too tall, too short, too heavy, too skinny. It all becomes the reason to stop trying. But walk through any city and you'll see it. Sharp men at every height and every size, and badly dressed men at every height and every size, okay? The body was never the deciding factor. Knowing how to dress the body was, okay? So here's the real frame for this whole video. Dressing for your body isn't about hiding it or apologizing for it. It's about respecting it. If you saying this is the body I've got, and I'm not going to present it properly like a man who takes himself seriously, that's a problem, okay? That's the move that commands respect from everyone else because it starts with you showing some form of respect for yourself. So now let's work out which build you are and get your playbook. Before any playbook works, you need to know which one is yours. And that takes 30 seconds of honesty in front of a mirror. Okay, you see this little man here standing in front of the mirror. It's pretty straightforward. In fact, if you need a mirror to figure this out right now, you've got a problem. You should probably already know this, okay? But look, when I'm talking a mirror test, I'm talking not the sucked in best angle version, the actual you today. Because the playbook only works if you pick the right one. And one of the main issues is men get this wrong by dressing for the body they used to have or the one they're planning to have, okay? Instead of the one in the mirror. Reality check, stand in front of a mirror in something fitted, or honestly, just have a proper look at yourself and ask two simple questions. First is your height. Am I notably tall, notably short, or somewhere in the middle? And second is width. Okay, am I lean, am I broad, or carrying weight through the middle? Or am I thin and struggling to fill out my clothes? That's it, Simple. Between these two questions, you'll land in one of the builds we're about to cover. And plenty of men are a mix. You're tall and skinny, you're short and stocky. That's fine. You just take the moves from both playbooks. This isn't a ranking system. Tall isn't winning, short isn't losing, carrying a bit of weight isn't a moral failing. It's just the current state of the asset, and the asset being you, right? The mirror check isn't there to beat yourself up. It's there to get accurate information, because accurate information is what lets you dress well starting today. Not 3 months from now when the gym kicks in. You dress for the body you have now. And if the body changes later, you adjust later. Okay? And one more thing while you're at that mirror, because it ties to everything I teach, be honest, but be fair to yourself too. Most men are harsher on their own bodies than anyone else ever is. Nobody is studying your flaws the way you are. They're reading the overall picture. And the overall picture is mostly decided by how well your clothes work with your build, which is exactly what you're about to learn. So build identified, no drama attached. Let's start with the tall man. I mean, technically the stocky man's taller than him, but just ignore that, right? First playbook, the tall man, okay? You'd think being tall was all upside for dressing, and it's true, you've got a head start. Height reads as presence before you've done anything, okay? But tall comes with its own traps, right? And the tall man who doesn't know them ends up looking like a beanpole, all length and no shape, or like he's outgrown his own clothes. There's a few things the tall man's, here's the tall man's core problem. There's too much unbroken length, okay? When you're tall and you wear one long column of the same thing, the eye just runs up and down like a lift, and you end up looking stretched and lanky, even a bit awkward. So the tall man's main move is the opposite of everyone else's. Where the shorter men want to create length, you actually want to break it up. Break it in half, okay? Layers do this beautifully. A jacket over a knit, an overshirt that's worn open, anything that splits you in sections instead of one long line. Contrast between your top and the bottom helps too. And we're talking about different colors, up and down, so the eye gets a break point at your waist, your true waist. Next trap, clothes that don't actually fit your length. Tall men constantly wear sleeves that stop short of the wrist. Trousers flapping above the ankle, if that's not the break you're looking for. Tops that ride up, okay? It looks like you borrowed clothes from your smaller mate, and it's the fastest way for a tall man to look scruffy. So the rule is, buy for your longest measurement and tailor the rest. Look for longer cuts, longer sleeves, and get things adjusted so they actually reach, okay? Nothing on a tall man should ever look like it's straining to cover him. And the good news is that tall men carry things most builds can't. Longer coats look superb on you. They hang the way they're designed to. More relaxed, fuller cuts work because you've got the height to balance them. Bolder patterns and stronger layers sit well on a bigger canvas. So the tall playbook in one line is to break up the length, make sure everything actually reaches, and then enjoy the fact that half the wardrobe was basically designed for you in mind. Color contrast, layers, etc. Okay? The presence is already yours. The job is just adding shape to it. Right, now the short man, and let me say this first. Being short is not the style disadvantage men think it is, okay? Some of the best dressed men in the world are well under average height, and you never clock it in a photo, okay? Because they run the playbook. The short man's game is one simple idea executed everywhere. And it's the opposite of the tall man. Create one clean, unbroken line from your shoulders to your shoes. So the eye travels up and down and you read taller. The first move is fit, okay? And it matters more for you than anyone. Anything baggy or oversized shows a shorter frame or swallows a shorter frame. Extra fabric eats you alive and makes you look smaller and wider at once, right? So everything fitted close to the body, sharp through the shoulders, etc. Trousers slim and ending clean at the shoe with no bunching at the ankle. That's a big one. That bunching, the pulling trouser, costs you visual height every single day. So get every pair hemmed to your exact leg. The short man's tailor is his best mate. Now, the second move, keep the line unbroken. Okay, so if we see this line in the middle here, we're gonna cross that out. Where the tall man breaks his length up, you do the reverse. You dress in one tone or close tones, top to bottom. So there's no horizontal line cutting you in half. A navy top with navy trousers or tonal colors that flow into each other. This reads as one long column and adds height for free. Avoid strong contrast at the waist. Avoid big chunky belts that slice you across the middle, and keep your trousers sitting at your natural waist higher than lower, because it makes your legs look longer, and the leg length is where height lives. Now, third, the details that quietly work for you. Shorter jackets ending around your hip. Keep your legs looking long. If you're wearing a long coat, wear it open to keep the vertical line. Smaller scale details suit your frame. Slimmer lapels, smaller patterns, neater proportions, because oversized details make the frame around them look smaller. And vertical anything is your friend. Pinstripes, open jackets, a long line of buttons, etc. The short playbook in one line is fitted everything, one unbroken line top to bottom, legs read as long as possible. Do that and your height simply stops being part of the conversation. Capiche? Now the stocky man. Stocky man, right. Okay, the broader lad, the one carrying a bit through the middle, the man who enjoys a few beers on the weekend and a little bit too much of Christmas pudding, right? This playbook matters most of all because this is the build where men give up hardest, and it's also the build where the right moves make the biggest visible difference fast. Now, first let's kill the instinct that ruins everything, okay? Hiding in bigger, baggy clothes. The stocky man's reflex is to size up, to go baggy, drape a tent over the whole situation and hope nobody notices. Here's the problem, it does the exact opposite, right? Baggy clothes don't hide size, they add it. All that loose fabric makes you read bigger and rounder than you actually are, because the eye can't find your actual shape, so it just takes the clothes as the answer. The man hiding in extra fabric looks heavier than the same man in clothes that fit. So the real move is structure. Clothes that fit properly, that follow your body without clinging to it. Skimming, not squeezing it, not swamping it. A shirt that fits your shoulders and chest and falls cleanly past your middle rather than billowing around it. A jacket is your single best friend here. A structured jacket with a good shoulder builds frame, broad up top, clean lines down, and suddenly your eyes read strong and substantial instead of round. Dark, calm colors through the middle help too. They quiet the area down. We're talking around here, right? Especially if you've got a bit of a belly, okay? What you don't want is black on white or white top black, because then it's really obvious, okay? Vertical lines, an open jacket, a long unbroken front. Draw the eye up and down instead of across. What you avoid is anything that pulls or strains. Tight is as bad as baggy. Anything clinging through the middle and big loud patterns across the widest part of you, okay? That makes it really obvious. And look, here's the deeper bit, because this build carries the most baggage in a man's head. Dressing well as a bigger man is not pretending to be smaller, and it's not waiting until you've lost the weight to bother. It's presenting the man you are today properly with structure and intent. And a stocky man dressed with structure reads as powerful, solid, substantial. He has a presence. That's the prize sitting right there. You don't need a different body to look sharp. You need clothes that fit this one, and the self-respect to put them on now, not after some diet that starts on Monday. Clear? Strong, structured, deliberate. That's the stocky playbook. Now, the last man is my man down here, the skinny man, right? Last build. I'm sure you like how skinny this guy is. The lean fella who struggles to fill out a shirt, okay? The one built like a heroin addicted blonde haired model friend from earlier. His problem is the reverse of the stocky man's, where one has too much through the middle, here, okay? The other can't fill out the clothes at all, okay? His clothes hang off him. It's like they're still on the hanger. The skinny man's trap is the same as the stocky man's, just from the other side. Wrong sized clothes. He either drowns himself in baggy stuff which makes a thin frame look like a scarecrow, all flapping fabric, okay, with no man inside it. Or he goes skin tight thinking it shows what little he's got, and instead it just advertises is exactly how thin his arms and chest are, right? Both extremes work against him. Not baggy, not skin tight. The fix is in the middle, close but not tight, fitted enough to give him a shape, with just enough room that the fabric sits on him properly, rather than clinging or hanging. Then his big move, right? This is the one tool that the other builds use sparingly, but you get to use freely: layers and texture to add visual weight. Layering is the skinny man's superpower. A shirt underneath a knit, an overshirt over a tee, a jacket over the lot. Every layer adds a bit of bulk and depth to the frame, and what looked thin in a single t-shirt looks built in 3 smart layers. Texture does the same job. Chunkier knits, heavier fabrics, materials with some substance to them, they all add body. Where the stocky man wants things visually quiet through the middle, the skinny man wants the opposite. Stuff going on layers, texture, a bit of structure in the shoulders to build out the top of the frame. His version of the mindset point. Skinny men write themselves off too, okay? I look like a kid in everything. What's the point? Wrong. A lean frame, dressed properly, is one of the sharpest looks there is. Most clothes drape beautifully on it once they actually fit, and layering turns lean into elegant, right? The point was never the size of the man, it was whether the clothes were working for him or against him. Fitted, not tight. Layers, texture for weight, structure up top. That's the skinny playbook, and it turns the build you've been apologizing for into the one half the fashion world was actually designed for. The skinny, blonde-haired, blue-eyed heroin addict model. So, gents, this is the 4 playbooks, right? The tall man breaks up the length, right? The short man builds one unbroken line, okay? The stocky man uses structure instead of hiding. The skinny man adds weight with layers and texture. 4 builds, 4 different sets of moves, and notice what just happened, right? Not one of them needed a different body to look sharp. Every single one had a play that works today with the body that walked into the room. And notice something else, that half these playbooks are opposites. The tall man breaks the line, but the short man keeps it unbroken, okay? The stocky man keeps his middle quiet. The skinny man piles the texture on, which proves the point this whole video started with. There was never one way to dress well, never one body it works for, never any sense in copying another man's moves, wholesale, mine included. You take inspiration wherever you like, but the formula gets applied to you, okay? Your height, your width, your frame. That's why the man who copies outfits of other bodies keeps missing, and the man who knows his own playbooks keeps landing, yeah? Now, the part that matters more than any individual move, every playbook in this video was built on the same foundation. Fit, the tall man tailoring for his length. The short man hemming every trouser. The stocky man structured, not swamped. The skinny man fitted, not tight. Different builds, same first principle. Clothes adjusted to the actual body, right? Get the fit right for your build and you're most of the way there before a single styling trick. That's the standard, and it doesn't move, whatever shape you are. And here's where it lands. Your body was never the excuse. Tall, short, stocky, skinny. Every one of those builds can look sharp, commanding, put together, and every one of them can look a mess. The only difference is whether the man knows his playbook and respects himself enough to run it, okay? So go back to the mirror, name your build, no drama attached, and start running your plays, because this was never about looking like me. It's about the man in your mirror dressed like he matters, because he does. So dress like it. Get some.